Hello. It's almost 1 in the morning. I wanted to talk about the sonnets. Here we are. Shakespeare sonnets, again in a beautiful Arden edition with so many notes it'll make your head spin. Look at this. Look at all these notes. Oh, beautiful. Oh, fantastic. Yes, I want to talk about sonnets because they're amazing. They're amazing. And they are not what you think they are. They're not. These are not love poems. I mean, there are love poems among them. But the sonnets are not about love. They're not about lovey-dovey love. They're not about honeymoons. They're not to be read at... I know they're read at weddings, but this book, for the most part, is primarily a thorny, knotty exploration of the kind of insanity that comes with love. Falling in love. Kind of the way your brain twists late at night, the jealousy, all of the strange thoughts you have of yourself, all of the kind of the mind-bending kind of aspects of love are explored in this book. And for me, okay, so there is some controversy because people think that maybe a lot of these poems are about friendship. So I'll explain. The sonnets are in 3 sections, from what I understand. I could be wrong. Out of the beginning 30 poems, which are poems where Shakespeare urges a young gentleman to have kids and get married. These are the procreation sonnets. Then you shift into more traditional addresses to the fair youth. You have more, the gentleman aforementioned. These involve outright declarations of love, references to sex, genitals, reference to kind of love triangles, reference to kind of cheating and infidelity and lies and all that stuff. And then kind of it goes through that, and then they seem to break up friendship, and then it's the Dark Lady sonnets at the end. And on the way, this book will lead you through the maze that is Shakespeare's mind. Better than any book I can think of, this gives you a picture of him kind of writing. I just imagine he's like him writing these feverishly with his quill at candlelight or something. I imagine him staying up and tearing his hair out and freaking out and all that stuff. And if these poems are fictional, I think it's convincing arguments have been made for the real lack of autobiographical thrust at that time. The idea that autobiography was basically pioneered by the Romantics, blah blah blah. If these are fictional, then I think they should rank up there among Shakespeare's greatest imaginative work. I think if these are fictional, then the amount of perception involved in these, the amount of inhuman levels of empathy involved in kind of creating this kind of sonnet sequence deserves more of a commendation than absolutely anything. That's my take. I wanted to kind of read a couple of poems to kind of illustrate kind of the thrust of these. Going to start with one that I think is illustrative of the kind of mindset that permeates these poems, which is this is sonnet number 71. No longer mourn for me when I am dead, then you shall hear the surly sullen bell give warning to the world that I am fled from this vile world with vilest worms to dwell. Nay, if you read this line, remember not the hand that writ it, for I love you so, that I in your sweet thoughts would be forgot, and thinking on me then should make you woe. Oh, if I say, you should look upon this verse, when I, perhaps, compounded am with clay, do not so much my poor name rehearse, but let your love even with my life decay, lest a wise world should look into your moan, and mock you with me after I am gone. So, first of all, very melodramatic. These poems are incredibly melodramatic, not in a bad way, but sometimes I feel like Shakespeare he writes from the mindset of a very forlorn teenage girl. The amount of debasement in a lot of these poems, the amount of stretching he has to do to justify the actions of his lover, the amount of mental gymnastics and justifications and I don't know, even irrational anger sometimes that go into these poems is staggering. It really is. And kind of that's what a lot of these poems are, is they run the gamut for me in terms of just everything to do with love, and I can't think of a better collection of poems that illustrates what it's actually like. It's not just the honeymoon. It's not. It's, you know, perceived looks, it's, you know, long distances, it's knotty and jagged and completely wonderful, but also completely maddening. And for me, that is the kind of greatest strength, the greatest strength of these. I wanted to read my favourite sonnet, which is Sonnet 74. Wait, no. Is it? No. I think it's 73. Yes. That time of year thou mayst in me behold, when yellow leaves, or none, or few, do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold, bear ruined choirs where late the sweet birds sang. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away, death's second self that seals up all in rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the deathbed whereon it must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. This thou perceived, which makes thy love more strong, to love that well which thou must leave ere long. Basically, he's saying, you know, love me, but, you know, I'm old, I'll be gone soon. It's such a dramatic conceit, but he plays it off so well, and that's kind of the difference between the good poems and the bad poems here for me, is how well Shakespeare can kind of break new grounds in exploring pretty well-worn concepts. Man, it's amazing. Some of these are so incredibly linguistically adventurous, and I feel like if you know this from Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, Thy Lover's Eyes Are Nothing Like the Sun, you know, you're missing out. You're missing out if you think this is just about love. And I really recommend, if you're going to read this, I recommend picking up a commentary. I read the commentary by Don Paterson, whatever it is, he's Scottish, and I also read the notes for this edition, and that really helped me because I didn't know what was kind of going on. And if you were to kind of jump into these with no context, it wouldn't work. You would not be able to understand it. Not even just, I mean, you need to understand, right? So the way these poems are arranged is very intentional. It's very particular. It's very purposeful. There are meaningful numbers. There are meaningful series. There are meaningful shifts in tone that accompany these changes in numbers. So you need a commentary to understand the kind of how they function in the grand scheme of things, but also kind of on a line-to-line, poem-to-poem basis to elucidate some fairly obscure meaning. But if you do, I promise you these will be this will be among the most rewarding poetry books in your life, and I cannot recommend enough.